Okay, well it's very, very nice to be in school today. Actually, I want to tell you today a story about a girl called Mary Ann. Now, if you know any girl or any boy called Mary Ann, it's not the Mary Ann in our story, alright? Mary Ann in our story, it was a Saturday morning. It was pouring down the rain outside. Mary Ann's mum turned around to Mary Ann and said, "Listen, Mary Ann, I've got to go down the shops to get something for dinner today. I forgot to get it in the week. Look, save you coming down to the shops with me and getting soaking wet as well. Listen, why don't you stay home? You can watch the TV. I'm not going to be very long at all, Mary Ann. And whatever you do, when I'm gone, do not answer the door to anyone unless you know it's me." Wise advice from Mum. Mary Ann turned around and said, "Okay, Mum," because Mary Ann was feeling quite tired anyway, and she couched up on the settee and began to watch the TV. Well, she hadn't been watching it very long before there was a on the front door. Mary Ann didn't do as she was told. In fact, she went to the front door. She opened up the front door, and there on the doorstep wasn't a person, but there on the doorstep was a nasty-looking black plastic bag. And the plastic bag spoke to Mary Ann, and it said, "Hello, darling." And Mary Ann looked at the plastic bag that had spoken to her, and the plastic bag carried on and said, "My name, darling, is Bad Thoughts. I'm visiting the boys and gals in that street, I'm visiting the boys and gals in that street, and I'm visiting all the boys and gals in your street, and today's your lucky or unlucky day, because I'm visiting your house, Mary Ann. And me being Bad Thoughts, I'm going to come in your house and I'm going to throw my rubbish and bad thoughts all over your house." Mary Ann turned around to the plastic bag called Bad Thoughts and said, "No, you're not." "Well, darling, that's where you're wrong, because you see, I don't get invited in. All I need is an open door, and with that I will come in." And boys and girls, with that he did. He came into the hallway and he began to throw his rubbish all over the house, everywhere. Mary Ann ran behind him trying to pick the rubbish up, but the more she picked up, the more he threw out. He went all through the house, Mary Ann's bedroom, Mum and Dad's bedroom, her brother's bedroom, front room, the whole of the house, until eventually the plastic bag called Bad Thoughts went into the front room and fell asleep in front of the fire. Mary Ann tried to push the plastic bag of Bad Thoughts along with all of his rubbish out of the house, but you know what? No matter how hard Mary Ann tried, she could not get rid of Bad Thoughts by herself. And she looked around at all the rubbish through the house, and then there was another on the front door. She hadn't learned her lesson. She went to the front door, she opened it up, and this time there wasn't a plastic bag on the doorstep, neither was there a mouse. But there on the doorstep was an absolutely ginormously huge fountain pen, and it spoke to Mary Ann with a really, really funny voice. It said to Mary Ann, "Hello, darling." And Mary Ann felt a bit of a smile coming on her face because of the voice, but the pen carried on and said, "My name, darling, is Bad Watts. I'm visiting the boys and gals in that street, I'm visiting the boys and gals in that street, I'm visiting all the boys and gals in your street, and today, Mary Ann, is your lucky or unlucky day, because I'm coming into your house, and I'm going to write all sorts of nasty, horrible words all over your walls." Mary Ann said, "No, you're not. Listen, Bad Thoughts has come in, pushed his way into my house. You're not coming in bad words." "Well, darling, that's where you get it wrong. Because you see, we don't come in invited. All we need is an open door, and in we come." And with that, boys and girls, the pen, or Bad Words, pushed himself very rudely, I think, past Mary Ann and began to write nasty, horrible words all over the wallpaper and the wall. Mary Ann ran behind him, was pleading with him to stop, but he just didn't stop. It was a bit embarrassing, because you see, some of the words that were on the wall, Mary Ann had actually heard them in the playground. Even worse than that, sadly, some of the words that are on the wall, Mary Ann had actually said as well. Listen, teachers didn't know, Mum and Dad didn't know. Sadly, she started using them, but now they're on the wall. So she gets a scrubbing brush and she tries to get rid of them, but boys and girls, they wouldn't come off, and the pen wrote all through the house until he'd written all over the places, and then he went into the front room, and the pen called Bad Words, he went onto the settee, and he fell asleep. Well, Mary Ann tried to push the pen along with his words out of the house, but no matter how hard Mary Ann tried, she could not get rid of Bad Words by herself. She looked around at all the rubbish from Bad Thoughts, now the nasty things written by Bad Words, and there was another. And Mary Ann still hadn't learnt a lesson. She went to the front door. This time there wasn't a plastic bag or even a pen, but this time on the doorstep was a horrible looking green boot, and it was all covered in mud, and the nails were hanging off its foot sole and everything else, and the boot turned around to Mary Ann and said, "Hello, my dear, I'm down here." And she looked down, and there was the boot on the doorstep. The boot turned around to Marianne and said, "My name, my dear, is Bad Deeds. I'm visiting all the boys and girls in that street, I'm visiting all the boys and girls in your street, and all the other streets, and today, Marianne, is your lucky or unlucky day, because I'm coming in your house, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because you see, I'm Bad Deeds. I break everything that's nice and tidy. So I'm going to come in, and I'm going to smash up everything that's really special in your house." Marianne said, "No, you're not going. Listen, bad words is forced its way into your house. Bad thoughts is forced its way into your house. Bad words is forced its way. But you're not coming in, Bad Deeds." And the old boot called Bad Deeds said, "My dear, you don't understand. We don't get invited in. All we need is an open door, and in we come." Now, with that, boys and girls, the boot called Bad Deeds jumped up into the air, kicked Marianne in the ankle. She went, "Ow!" And the boot went boing, boing, boing into the hallway. He began to break up everything that was special in the house. Not only of Marianne's, but her mums and dads and her brothers, and all through the house. And when he'd finished, he went into the front room and he fell asleep in front of the fire as well. Marianne tried to push the boot called Bad Deeds into the house. But no matter how hard Marianne tried, she couldn't get rid of Bad Deeds, just like she couldn't get rid of bad words or bad thoughts by herself. She sat on the stairs, she put her hands under her chin, she looked around the house, which was all nice and tidy in the beginning. That was a mess. And tears began to run down her cheeks. It wasn't the way that she wanted it, but it was the way it had become. She didn't hear the next knocking. This was a different sort of knocking. It didn't get any louder, it didn't get any quieter. It didn't stop either, it just kept going. Now, as I said, it was a different sort of knocking, because you see, bad thoughts, bad words, bad deeds, theirs was like an angry, aggressive knock. I'm not sure if you can get one of these, but if you could, this one was like, well, it was like a friendly knock. But as I've already said, it didn't get any louder, it didn't get any quieter, but it just didn't stop. Marianne didn't hear it anyway, because she was crying, but she eventually stopped crying and heard the knocking. And she thought, I dare not answer the door to anything or anyone else. Look what happened to my house. And then she had an idea. "I know what I'll do," she said. "I will creep across the door, I'll lift up the letterbox, I'll peer outside. If it's something or someone A-OK, I'll let them in, and if they're bad news, I'll keep them outside." So she did just that. She crept across to the front to the doorstep, to the door. She opened up the letterbox, she peered outside, and there she saw on the doorstep, not a plastic bag, or a pen, or even a boot, but there was a candle burning very, very brightly and friendly. The candle turned around to Marianne and spoke and said to Marianne, "Hello, Marianne, would you please let me come into your house, because I'd like to help you. In fact, I'm the only one who can." Interesting, the word please. The bad thoughts, words and deeds used the word please. No, they didn't, they were just bad manners. And so she said to the candle, "But who are you?" And the candle said this, "I'm known by many different names, but now I am known as the light of the world." Boys and girls, as soon as he mentioned his name, the light of the world, suddenly bad thoughts, bad words, bad deeds all will come together and say, "No, Marianne, don't let him in. He spoils all the fun we can give you." Fun from bad thoughts and bad words and bad deeds. No way, Jose. They're just bad news, and they're really bad news all sorts of ways. So she said to the candle again, "I'm sorry, but who are you?" He said, "I'm known now as the light of the world. If you let me in, I can help you. In fact, I'm the only one who can." Well, Marianne thought, well, I can get rid of bad thoughts and words and deeds by myself, and I need help. Okay, so she put her hand into the door catch, she turned it, she opened the door, she said to the candle, "Please come in." Boys and girls, strange things happen. Because as the candle sort of stepped over the doorstep, suddenly, bad thoughts, bad words, bad deeds, all three leave the house. A great big smile went over the face of Marianne, because as the light from the candle shone through the house, she saw that all the rubbish had gone. All the nasty words written, removed. All the things broken, mended. In fact, even better than they were in the first place. And then there was another knock. This one started very quietly, but it got louder, and it got louder, and it got louder, and it got louder. And suddenly Marianne went, "Oh!" Boys and girls, Marianne had been asleep. It had all been a dream. Who's at the door? You've got it. It's her mum. She goes to the door, she opens it up, she says, "Oh, Mum, I had a dream. And it was so real, I really thought it had happened," she said. "And it was a plastic bag up and her mum said to her, "Slow down, Marianne. I don't understand a word you're saying. Come in the front room and tell me all about it." So they went into the front room, and Marianne began to tell her mum about the dream that she'd had, that she thought was real, about a plastic bag called Bad Thoughts who came in and threw his rubbish everywhere, about a pen called Bad Words who came in and wrote nasty words on the wall, about a book called Bad Deeds who came in and broke everything up. And Mary Ann's mum listened to Mary Ann as she told the story. And about the candle, she said, there was this candle, Mum. He said he was known by many different names, but now he was known as the light of the world. And he said, if I invited him, he could help me. And do you know what, Mum? When I opened the door and invited the candle in, everything changed. Bad thoughts, words and deeds, they all went. Mary Ann's mum listened to Mary Ann. Mary Ann's mum was a wise mum. Most mums are very wise as well. And Mary Ann's mum turned around to Mary Ann and said, Mary Ann, the house that you're dreaming about isn't just an ordinary house. She said, is it not? No, Mary Ann. Actually, it's the house of your life. It's you, Mary Ann. And you know as well as I do that sadly bad thoughts and bad words and bad deeds have come in and messed everything up. And do you remember the candle who said he was known by many different names? Yeah, that's right. Well, the name that we know him by is none other than Jesus, because Jesus actually called himself the light of the world, because he wants to come into our dark lives and change them and bring his light. And Jesus came to deal with our bad thoughts and bad words and bad deeds. Actually, Mary Ann bumps to Mary Ann. He's the only one who can take them away. Because when he died on the cross, he was being punished for those things so that we could be forgiven. And just like Mary Ann, in the story, in your dream, you had to invite the candle into the house for things to change. So you have to invite Jesus into the house of your life for things to change as well. And what he does then is he not only forgives us, but he gives us the power to be able to overcome these problems and gives us the right way, helps us the right way to live as well. Well, the story goes that Mary Ann that night knelt down by her bed and said, Dear Lord Jesus, thank you for dying on the cross for me. I am sorry for my bad thoughts, my bad words and bad deeds. Would you please forgive me and come in to live in my life and be my best friend? Boys and girls, lessons we can learn from the story of Mary Ann. Listen really, really well. It would be great to finish off this bit of the assembly with a prayer. So let's quietly put our hands together, shall we? We'll close our eyes. And I'm going to say a prayer. You can listen to me as I say the prayer. And then at the end of it, you can say Amen after me. Okay, listen to that. Dear God, thank you very much for the story this morning. We know lots of it was pretentious. It was just about a dream. And, well, we all know that plastic bags and pens and things don't talk. But we know that it's true, that you really did die on the cross, Lord Jesus, for our bad thoughts, words and deeds, that we could be forgiven if we put our trust in you. Would you please help us to live our lives today that will please you, and thank you that every one of us are very, very special to you. In Jesus' name.